Welcome to Unchained here on Pahrump News. I'm your host, Deanna O'Donnell. Hope you're doing good tonight. Well, you know, we keep telling you it is election season, and once again, we have another candidate on the show in our mission to bring you all of the information about the candidates that are running for office. When we return, we're going to have a candidate for Nye County Clerk, and that is Kayla Ball.
Sponsored by 1-2-Tree, handyman, yard cleanup, yard maintenance, and so much more. Give them a call at 775-253-8066. We will leave you with a smile. Axe Exterminators. Give those pests the axe. Give them a call today for general pest control, rodents, termites, bed bugs, and so much more in Pahrump, Amargosa, Beatty, and surrounding areas. 775-990-2065.
All right, I'm here with my guest, Kayla Ball. You are, well, welcome, first
Thank
of all.
you.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
Yes.
You are running for Nye County Clerk.
Yes.
You already hold a position right now in
I do.
The DA's office?
Yep.
Tell everybody about that.
So I've been at the DA's office for 14 years now.
Wow.
I started there when I was a volunteer at 17. So I've worked my way up through the ranks. I've worked every single support staff position in the DA's office. I was even interim office administrator. So I've been there a very long time, but I'm ready for a change. I've topped out. You know, there's no more growth there for me. So I'm ready to improve myself and improve the county. So I want to run for Nye County Clerk.
I remember, I think we gave you an Act of Kindness Award
You
years
did.
ago.
I dug that up. I dug it up, and I could recognize your voice right off the bat. And I just remember that day I was so shocked.
Yeah.
But I was just a baby, so it was very awesome to see.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me how many years it's been.
I know, 13.
Gosh,
oh my goodness.
And it was because you, like you said, worked your way up and really worked hard as a teenager to get in the position that you're in.
Yeah.
So tell me, at the DA's office, what are you doing there?
So right now I'm an executive legal secretary, so I'm a supervising secretary. So I supervise 4 different secretaries and I assist 6 different DAs.
Wow.
So it's a very, every day is different at the DA's office. So I know how to handle high pressure situations and be adaptable. So I assist DAs and assist staff and make sure that policies and procedures are being followed and, you know, go through the day-to-day operations and make sure everything's up to par.
That's kind of fun, though, that things change every day, though,
It is,
right? It's
yes.
kind of exciting.
It is very exciting, yes. Being there for 14 years, I've seen a lot, I've learned a lot, you know, so keeps the day going.
So what made you decide, okay, definitely clerk is the position I want?
So we've been affiliated with the clerk's office being at the DA's office for a really long time, so it's something that I've been interested in for quite some time. They recently separated the courts side of it from the election side, but it's something that, you know, when it came up for appointment, I went for it 2 years ago, and it's just been a goal. You know, it's been on my vision board. It's a goal of mine to be there. I think that I can make positive improvements and change, and it's a good step into helping the community and on my next journey. So
we've had a couple changes in the clerk's office over the last few years.
Yes.
What's some of the things that you think about that in particular and you would like to change, you'd like to keep the same?
Yeah, so one of my main platforms is getting the next up-and-coming generation involved in voting. I think that's extremely important. And their involvement in local government, maybe understanding it a little better, how our local government works in Nye County and the importance of voting, because everything's intertwined here. Any department head, our commissioners and everything, it's important that you're voting in the right people and the people that you support and that you're researching the candidates that are running for these positions. So I think that's crucial.
What do you think about that with young people as far as, they don't seem to be as involved, right?
No, there's a lack of involvement and there's a lack of information out there. Surprisingly, if I had $1 for every time I got asked what the clerk's office does, I could have paid for my campaign by now.
Yeah.
So that's a huge concern of mine, because when I go out there and I'm campaigning, you know, I've prepared all these speeches and I'm like, yeah, I got this in the bag, you know, I know what to say, I know what I want to say to people, and then they come up to me and they don't even know what I do. Yeah. So I think that's a huge lack in the clerk's office. Your job is to notify the public of voter information, and if it's accessible and readily available, then that's how people want to participate. So I think with our voter participation, where we're lacking is, like you said, people are uncomfortable with the process. They don't know how it goes. And we need to get that out there. And that's how we encourage the up-and-coming generation as well, is if it's out there and it's known how we're voting, the machines we're using, why we're doing these methods, then I think that's how we get people more involved again.
And that's something that hasn't really been out there, especially with so many things that have changed, right?
Yes.
I mean, how do you go out there and inform the public?
So you have to look at how the public gets their information. So not a lot of people read the newspaper. A majority do. Our senior population reads the newspaper, but you need social media pages. You need to coordinate with all the other towns in Nye County and how they get their news. What do we need to do so that we can reach you easily? And that's a lack that I'm seeing. So
And that
social
is
media
true.
pages,
Towns have
newspapers,
different-
everything. So it's these small incremental changes that will make huge waves in the clerk's office. And it's the small things that aren't being done. You know, advertise the important dates of when early voting is, when the voting polls open, where they are, when you can opt out of mail-in ballots, when you need to update your voter registration, provide the link, go to these community events and have booths, and educate the public of what's up and coming. It's not just when you're running for election. You should be doing this year-round, going to these community events. These booths are available for everybody to have. And you should have a Nye County Clerk's booth with all the voter information, maybe offer them to update their voter registration there at the booth at a community event, or let them know the important up-and-coming dates that are going to be there.
And different towns have different ways of getting their information, don't
Yes.
they? And we have, Nye County is huge. So.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one thing too. We have to be able to provide public service to more than just Pahrump. It is all of Nye County, and each town or community has different needs than Pahrump does. If you go up to Round Mountain, to Tonopah, to Beatty, Amargosa, it's completely different than the way that Pahrump is. And the only way that you can satisfy those needs and understand is community involvement. I've done research on this position. I've contacted the other clerks and asked them, how do you get your voter participation up? How do you get the community to have faith in the voting process again? And they say community involvement. Because you have to be able to put a face to the name of who your Nye County Clerk is, what they do, the importance of the position, and that's how you get voter participation back up.
Is there money in the budget to put out for advertising and to go to all these events and be out there? Or
Well, a social media page is free.
yeah.
So you know what I mean? You have to take those responsibilities on your hands. Like right now, for instance, we don't have a notary in the clerk's office. I'm a notary. So you can't enforce your staff to be a notary if it's not within the job description, but I'm a notary. That's something that I would be willing to do. You know, there are things that are free and able to do, and we have to look at the budget and the requirements, but if that's what we need to do to improve the department, we have to figure out how to make it happen. And there is a lack of opportunities that we're missing to generate revenue in the department. Like I said, notary public and the passport applications. Every other clerk's office in the state has passport applications. So why did we eliminate those services? That's a way to bring revenue back into the department.
Wow. How about the paper ballots?
Yeah, so paper ballots, this is where I have a huge problem with it. So the clerk's office, their responsibility is to administer the duties as prescribed by law. The Secretary of State is the one that's responsible for ensuring that those laws are being followed. So there are promises that are being made that are not within the clerk's office responsibilities and things that they can't change. When it comes to the paper ballots and the mail-in ballots, I will advocate for we need to get rid of mail-in ballots because there's so many things that can go wrong with those. For instance, all registered voters are going to receive mail-in ballots. But then if they decide to go vote in person, you have a mail-in ballot and then you go vote in person at the marker machines. Then when you vote, they're going to print out another hand ballot that you turn in. Mm-hmm. So we have all these ballots out there. And one way that we can, if that is what is law and that we have to do it, how can we do it more efficiently and save the county money? And when I've been out campaigning, people don't even understand that they can opt out of receiving a mail-in ballot. Yeah. That's something you should be broadcasting. There are so many people. It
saves money, right, too?
Saves so much money. And there's so many people, Nye County residents, that do not want a mail-in ballot. So why are we wasting money sending them mail-in ballots when they don't want them, when you could be advertising and getting out there in the community, hold a booth at an event and say, hey, opt-out ballots, put a big O sign in the front, come here to opt out of mail-in ballots. Yeah. It's that simple. Like I said, it's just these small incremental changes that will bring that department back up again.
100%. The voting dates that you were talking about, mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people aren't always quite sure when those dates are, when early voting is, when mail-in ballots is, when you're out of the country, because we have a lot of military personnel and stuff like that. Those are dates that are super important for people to know. And I'm finding a lot, like you said, with the younger generation, getting them involved,
yes,
getting them to vote, right?
Yes.
How do you do that?
So that's where my background and my experience comes from. Receiving the Act of Kindness Award, that's because I mentored young kids and I went and I public speaked on, my circumstances of coming up and the things that I went through. So getting involved in the schools and holding mock elections, the Secretary of State actually has a program that is mock elections. It's already printed out. It's already created that you follow the step-by-step process. And so you could go and encourage the schools to hold these mock elections. And I believe there are some teachers that are currently holding the mock elections already, but we just don't have clerk participation. It is not something that any clerk has previously done or has campaigned for previously in their platforms. So that's one way to get it involved. And if you can't get in with that, you can also, I came through the Nye Communities Coalition Youth Works program. Mm-hmm. So through that, I was able to volunteer and be paid through a grant program. Why can't we utilize that in the clerk's office if we lack the budget to increase staff, use volunteers that are paid through grant programs that are youth workers that can come in and assist the clerk's office and see what we do and learn about the voting process. I have so many ideas to get the youth involved. Extra credit for, volunteering maybe at a booth or going and knocking on doors. It's communication with the schools, and from what I've seen, they're more than willing to be involved. And
a lot of the kids, even throughout, not just Pahrump, but throughout Nye County, these skills are very valuable to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all start our careers. I started at the DA's office, and I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I have no desire to be a lawyer now that I've been there for so long. And, I'm finding a passion in community involvement in elections and the political process. So you never know. You're going to get that youth that comes in and volunteers and is like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I like. Or they volunteer and say, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah, but good experience.
But good experience.
Not, right?
They're working in an office. They're getting to answer questions from the public, providing public service, knowing basic, office clerk experience is really good because they can take that experience and go anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable. Valley Electric does that with a lot of the kids and gets interns coming in and learning all about that. It really is fantastic to get the younger generation involved in this 100%. What are you seeing that you would like to do that hasn't been implemented besides that in the clerk's office?
Yeah, so getting, the youth up and coming, the lack of information being distributed, working with the newspapers, social media pages to be able to get out there, more community involvement, and increasing revenue for the department.
Yeah.
There's a lack of policies and procedures and consistency. I've seen a lot of posts recently on Facebook about voter registration. We had someone from Vegas was able to register to vote out here. So being able to coordinate and work with the other state departments and solve these issues is what we need to do. That's what we need to prioritize, and that's not something that's being done.
You just recently, the clerk's office was advertising for election workers. Also, is that something that is hard to get people to do, or do you get quite a few volunteers to do that?
I would think that is something that could be hard to do, because if someone volunteers and has a bad experience volunteering, I've been approached by several previous election workers, and they said you have to be able to handle a chaotic environment and high stress situations. You need to be adaptable, you need to be courteous in those, and be able to manage staff and the chaos that's going on during that election time period. And a lot of people that come up to me and say they're not going to do it again because of the way that the environment was and how they were treated. So I think potentially, depending on the environment, it should be easy. And why aren't we getting the youth involved? School's out in June, reach out to the schools. Hey, what can we do? What are some ideas to get the youth to come out involved and be election workers?
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. Make sure that you appreciate your volunteers, appreciate your staff, because they're the ones that keep the wheels turning. This is not a one-man show. Regardless of how it's being projected, being the clerk, it's your staff, it's your volunteers, it's the entire state. They all coordinate together, share ideas on how we can improve the election process and the systems that they are using, and that's what we need to do, is better communication, handling adaptability, and being able to implement policies and procedures.
With the paper ballots, we had such a huge amount of people working on them to try to get these counted. And the last election, people were starting to use the machines just a little bit more. The election before that, I can't remember how many days it took to count those paper ballots.
It's outrageous. There's been statistics on it.
Yeah.
So the statistics on hand counting is I talked to Douglas County, and she said that it took about 4 hours to count 25 ballots. Because what people don't understand, it's not like counting money. So you're like 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a ballot with multiple different candidates, and not everybody votes for the same candidates on every ballot. So you can't just stack them all in the same stack and be able to separate them. So-and-so votes for this, this, and this. You're tabulating it over here. It takes so much time and the amount of human error. We just don't have the time of day to do it.
There is a lot of human error. I talked to some of the people that were counting those ballots, and they were saying they would start to stare at them, and you would just kind of get just like
disassociate.
Like
when you're driving, you know, and then you just end up somewhere. Yes,
and
exactly.
So they started to kind of go in kind of a zone and stuff like that, and that is something that I noticed the last election, that people were going back a little bit more to start relying on the machines a little bit. And
the tabulators.
I love the machine, so
Yeah.
I'm like, because we were always in and out really quickly,
Yep.
and it was really easy.
I mean, when you go to the bank, you know, machine counts your money for you.
Yeah.
When you balance your checkbook, you use the calculator.
Yeah.
And I think being able to restore the public's faith in the voting process is being able to explain why we're deciding to do these things. Hey, we don't have the resources to hand count 50,000 ballots and be able to get that number before the 10 days are up that we have to present the results.
Yeah.
And we want faster results, we want more efficiency in any way that we possibly can. And this is why we're not doing it. There are only 3 staff members in the Pahrump clerk's office and 2 in Tonopah. Other than that, you have to rely on your election workers and your volunteers to run the elections. That's just not a good business plan, because if you train 60 volunteers, by the time it comes down to it, you know, you might drop down to only 20. And then you're having to run all these polling places. You've stretched yourself thin. You know, votes are coming in. You have a huge line out the door. So those are the reasons why. Get involved with the news. The news has been, any news station has been more than willing to interview us and be involved. I don't see any problem with them being able to sit down with the clerk and provide updates of why we're deciding to run these elections this way and educate the public more. You know, cut out the misinformation and the broken promises and just get down to the black and white of it. This is why we're doing this, and, you know, advocate for eliminating mail-in ballots, you know, but we can't decide that.
Yeah.
You know, the clerk's office, that's outside of our control. I'm not going to promise voters things that I can't uphold. I'm not going to tell them what they want to hear. I'm going to be 100% honest on the voting process and do the best that I absolutely can to ensure that they have faith in it.
Yeah. Tell everybody what else the clerk's office does.
So the clerk's office, more than just elections, but that is mostly what I talk about out campaigning. So you have to know how to run your department. You have to know how to manage your staff. My opponents will say that we don't need a good manager in the clerk's office because that's what they're comparing me to. I'm more than just a manager. We don't need a dictator in the clerk's office. You know, you need to be able to do your job, be adaptable when these new changes come in. The election process changes every time we go to an election.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to lead your staff and let them understand and have black and white policies for them so that they know how to follow them. Marriage licenses, fictitious firm names, notary bonds, paperwork, stuff like that. I mean, I'm a professional in paperwork. I've been at the DA's office for 14 years. There isn't any paperwork that I don't know how to process, you know? So that's the day-to-day operations of the clerk's office. The election process is, you know, year-round, updating your voter rolls and being able to do that. So it's just directing your staff and managing them. And I have to say, the clerk's office has a great staff over there. They have so much experience combined. And most of them came from the DA's office or have experience at the DA's office. So they also have legal experience working at the DA's office. So they don't need a parent in there. They don't need a dictator, you know, or someone to tell them what to do in that manner of what my opponent seems to be coming out to be. They just need someone that's going to come in there and just say, hey, this is how we're going to do it, and how can we work together to make this work?
All right. Do you have any upcoming events?
We will be at Amargosa Days. So, I mean, and the Kiss a Pig, I'm in Kiss a Pig as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That'll be a fun one. It's jam-packed with events. I have a website, Kayla Ball for Nye County Clerk. So if you're looking for me or have questions for me, that's where you need to go, and it'll tell you where I'm up next.
All right, and then what's the date for early voting, mail-in ballots,
early
election
voting
day?
Yeah, mail-in ballots go out May 11th. Early voting starts May 23rd. Election day is June 9th.
There you go.
So there you go.
And here in Pahrump, Barberoo Community Center.
Correct.
Right? In Round Mountain and...
Round Mountain, I believe, is at the library.
Yeah, and Amargosa at the community
I'm
center.
not sure if they're going to have one in Amargosa, but they will have one in Tonopah. Yes.
Beatty.
I think Beatty, they have to travel. I don't know if they have one in Beatty.
Okay.
So, but those should all be posted by the Nye County Clerk on the website.
There you go. All right, you can go to the Nye County Clerk's website. Thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Kayla, for coming in. And if you are a candidate running for an elected office, you can give us a call, 775-299-9992. You can also message me on Pahrump News Facebook page or on my own personal Facebook page and let me know, and we'll see if we can squeeze you in. Right now we're going to go to the Nye County Animal Shelter with Christy Sigmund, who is going to introduce us to a compact little dog up for adoption right now. And guess what? The fees are free for the rest of this month.
Sponsored by Want to Tree, handyman, yard cleanup, yard maintenance, and so much more. Give them a call at 775-253-8066. We will leave you with a smile.
Hi, my name is Christy Sigmund, and I'm here today at the Nye County Animal Shelter with Cassie. So Cassie's owner passed away, and there was no family or next of kin to take her in. As you can see, she's a little nervous being here. She's only ever known a home. She is a little bit older of a lady, about 8 or 9 years old. But let me tell you, that does not stop her spunkiness. When she gets the zoomies, she flies around here and loves to play with that ball. She has little tiny legs, but she has a wonderfully big heart. So if you would like to come down and see Miss Cassie, please visit us at 1580 East Seary Lane. Give us a call at 775-751-7020. Visit 24 Pet Connect to see all of our adoptable animals. And for the entire rest of the month of April, our adoption fees are sponsored by a very generous donor within our community. So come down and see if there is a fur kiddo that would meet your expectations and be able to add to your home.
Thanks so much, Christy, for showing us that cute little dog, and thank you to the donor who actually helped out, and that would be Michelle Nelson, and she is a candidate as well, and she has paid for the fees for the Nye County Animal Shelter through the end of this month. So definitely go out there and adopt an animal. They have cats, they have dogs, sometimes they have some other animals like farm animals and stuff like that, and so you can find out more by going to 24petconnect.com to see what animals that they have up for adoption. That's going to wrap up this edition of Unchained here on Pahrump News. I'm your host, Deanna O'Donnell. Good night.
Axe Exterminators. Give those pests the axe. Give them a call today for general pest control, rodents, termites, bed bugs, and so much more in Pahrump, Amargosa, Beatty, and surrounding areas. 775-990-2065.